Hey, Mid-Decode. Welcome to Mid-Decode. Today, we are strapping in for a journey into one of the most subtle yet really profound connections between your body and the music you listen to.
Mhm.
We're talking about an incredible scientific discovery that links musical rhythm to the tiny, involuntary movements your eyes are constantly making.
That's right. I mean, if you think tapping your foot is the only way your body connects with a beat, you should prepare to be surprised. We're going deep into something called blink synchronization.
Blink synchronization.
It's the just unexpected finding that your eye blinks are conducting their own silent secret orchestra right along with the music.
So our mission for you today is to unpack a stack of truly groundbreaking sources that prove how your spontaneous eye blinks involuntarily aligned with musical beats. We'll explore why your brain even goes to the trouble of perfecting this timing, how it achieves this perfect, unconscious dance, and what this all tells us about your fundamental sense of rhythm and even your ability to focus.
And this isn't just theory. This research is on a really solid ground. They weren't just watching, professional dancers. The study used 123 non-musicians, so people just like you, listening primarily to the complex structures of Bach chorales.
Yeah.
And they confirmed that this synchronization is robust, it's measurable, and until very recently was completely unrecognized. It suggests music affects us at a much deeper neurological level than we ever really imagined.
Okay, let's unpack this. When I listen to music, I might, sway my shoulders or clap along. Those are conscious actions. They're overt. So what exactly is blink synchronization and how is it different?
The difference is everything. It's defined as spontaneous, involuntary eye blinks aligning perfectly with musical beats. The key word there is involuntary.
Right.
This is a subtle, unconscious motor action. You don't decide to blink on the snare drum hit. Your brain just does it.
So it's fundamentally different from those conscious behaviors, the things we actively control, like nodding or foot tapping. This is more like stealth behavior from the visual system.
Exactly. And the robustness of the finding really drove this home. Researchers found this happening in non-musicians, even when they were given zero instructions to keep time.
So no one told them to follow the beat.
Nope. You can try to ignore it, but your eyes are secretly following the rhythm anyway. They're like a covert agent for your auditory system.
That is fascinating. But music is so complex. Is this synchronization driven by the emotional content or the melody or the instrument sounds?
They tested for that, and the answer is surprisingly stripped down. It's driven primarily by the temporal patterns.
The rhythmic structure.
The rhythmic structure itself. They ran several tests to confirm this. In one, they played versions of the Bach chorales where the harmony was completely reversed.
So it sounds strange, unfamiliar.
Exactly, really foreign, but the underlying rhythmic structure was identical.
And the blinks still synchronized.
They absolutely did. And even more compellingly, the synchronization still happened when participants listened to just basic pure tone sequences.
So no melody at all.
None. No pitch variation whatsoever. This confirms that the critical component the brain is tracking is just the beat, that predictable recurring clock structure, not the melody or the harmony. So if this subtle movement aligns so perfectly with an upcoming beat, it brings it a huge mechanical question. Is the brain just reacting incredibly fast to the sound or something else going on?
And that's what's so revolutionary about this research. The sources show the brain isn't just passively reacting. It's actively and skillfully predicting the beat. It's a process known as predictive coding.
Predictive coding is, well, it's essentially the brain treating life like a continuous forecast. When it comes to music, it builds an internal model of the rhythm and constantly anticipates when the next beat should arrive.
So it's like having an internal metronome that's always just a little bit ahead of the actual music.
Precisely. And they actually captured this timing using EEG recordings. The data showed that the neural response for the beat, the brain signal that says, get ready, it dynamically precedes the physical blink.
It comes before the blink.
It comes before. The brain anticipates where the beat will land, and it pre-plans the motor command for the blink to align perfectly with that expected event.
That is just amazing optimization. So if you blink right on the anticipated beat, you're making sure your auditory system is fully prepared to receive the sound information exactly when it's expected.
Right.
You're using a tiny visual interruption to actually improve your hearing.
It's a mechanism that optimizes attention, and they found a direct correlation. The better a person's blink synchronization was, the stronger their brain's ability to track the beat, what scientists call neural entrainment.
So good blinkers have good neural tracking.
If your blinks are on point, your neural tracking is strong.
I remember the sources mentioning that Familiarity with the music, while not changing the basic synchronization, definitely modulated the strength of that predictive signal. Why would that be?
That's a key detail, and it shows the refinement process. The neural coupling, so the link between the blink and the brain signal, it became significantly stronger when people listened to the original music compared to those unfamiliar reverse versions.
Right.
This shows that while the rhythm alone is enough to trigger the physical blink, having familiar harmonic progressions allows the brain to make even more robust and confident predictions.
Ah, so it refines the process over time.
It's like prediction with training wheels versus prediction on a motorcycle.
Okay, so we've established the behavior and the neural mechanism. Now we get to the architecture.
Hmm.
Does this highly specialized rhythm sense, this, predictive blink ability, actually show up in our physical brain structure? Because if it does, that tells us this isn't just learned behavior, it's wired into our hardware.
It is absolutely wired in. Researchers found that individual differences in how good you are at this unconscious timing are linked directly to the microstructural properties of your white matter tracts.
And for anyone unfamiliar, white matter tracts are basically the bundles of insulated nerve fibers that act as the high-speed communication superhighways across the brain. So which highway is dedicated to hearing the beat and telling your eyes to sync up?
The primary pathway they identified is the left posterior superior longitudinal fasciculus, or PSLF for short.
PSLF. Got it.
This is a crucial sensoromotor pathway. You can think of it as the dedicated route connecting your auditory processing areas to regions involved in eye movement, like the parietal eye field. It is the direct line for this rapid auditory to oculomotor coordination.
And here's where the findings get really counterintuitive and I think incredibly insightful. You would assume that a highly specialized ability like perfect rhythmic timing would require a super dense, super complex pathway. But the data showed the opposite. Better blink synchronization correlated with a lower neurite density index, or NDI, in that left PSLF. So why would having less stuff in there make you better at rhythm?
This is a huge takeaway about neural efficiency versus just sheer volume. The NDI measures the concentration of neural fibers in a brain region. And while lower density might sound like underdevelopment, in neurological research, and we see this in studies on intelligence, learning, and reading skills, a lower NDI is often interpreted as greater neural efficiency.
So it's less about crowding the lane and more about having an optimized traffic flow.
Precisely. Imagine your brain pathway as a brand new highway system. Initially, it has hundreds of RAMs and messy junctions. A highly efficient brain, through a process like, say, optimal synaptic pruning, cleans up all the unnecessary connections. It makes the remaining pathway faster, cleaner, and less prone to informational traffic jams.
So the people who blink perfectly on the beat aren't necessarily musicians with years of training. They're just people who happen to have a naturally streamlined and highly efficient auditory to oculomotor pathway.
That is the structural conclusion. Your innate hidden rhythm ability is defined by the efficiency of this specific brain conduit, which lets those predictive signals travel faster and more accurately.
We know it's predictive and structural.
Goal.
But what's the ultimate functional purpose of all this rhythmic blinking? I mean, does it actually help us listen better in the real world?
Yes. The primary functional benefit appears to be boosting auditory focus. And this lines up perfectly with the dynamic attending theory, or DT.
Okay.
This theory proposes that rhythmic structure isn't just for pleasure, it's how the brain locks temporal attention onto predictable time points. By blinking, you are cyclically resetting your attention exactly when new auditory information is expected.
So the blinks are like a physical sign of this attentional locking mechanism. How did the researchers provide behavioral proof for that?
They ran an experiment where participants had to detect subtle pitch deviance, so essentially a wrong or unexpected note hidden in the music. And they found that individuals with stronger, more consistent blink synchronization had significantly higher accuracy when detecting these pitch deviants. Their synchronized blinks were literally helping their brains align temporal attention with the beat, which enhanced their perception of musical detail.
That is solid evidence. The blinks are a cognitive tool masquerading as a reflex. Okay, let's talk about the limits. When does this robust, hidden rhythm completely vanish? The off switch, so to speak.
It turns off under two conditions. First, there's a tempo limit. While synchronization was strong at medium tempos, around 66 and 85 beats per minute, it tended to disappear or at least significantly weaken at fast tempos, like 120 BPM for some of the music.
Okay, so there's a speed limit.
There's a speed limit. It suggests there's a physiological or processing limit to how quickly the brain can accurately do this predictive coordinating behavior.
And the second limit. the truly crucial one.
This is maybe the most compelling finding of the entire study, the attention requirement. When participants were asked to do a demanding visual task, and the music was just relegated to being task-irrelevant background noise, blink synchronization completely vanished.
Not just weakened.
It didn't weaken, it disappeared.
So if you're not actively cognitively listening for the rhythm, the brain just turns the syncing mechanism off. It proves this isn't just some automatic sensory process. It's a dedicated mechanism that requires active auditory attention.
Exactly. The brain saves its predictive resources for when they are actually useful. But that visual detection task also produced a surprising cross-modal result.
Tell me about this cross-modal conflict.
Participants were significantly slower to detect visual targets that appeared on beat at the exact moment the auditory beat was expected, compared to targets that appeared off beat.
Wait, hold on. If the music is irrelevant background noise, why would the beat slow me down? I feel like a brain should just be ignoring the auditory rhythm entirely.
That's the fascinating conflict. Even when the music was deemed irrelevant for the visual task, when the visual target coincided with that powerful expected auditory beat, the brain seemed to momentarily prioritize processing the auditory event.
So the sound stole the brain's attention.
The sheer predictive power of the rhythm captured attentional resources away from the visual input, causing a measurable delay in the visual response. The rhythm is just so compelling that it interferes with sight when the two coincide.
Wow. We started with unconscious blinks, and we've ended up proving that rhythmic prediction can temporarily hijack our visual attention.
Yeah.
That's a deep dive indeed.
That's the cognitive battleground right there in action.
So to summarize for you, blink synchronization is this highly efficient, hidden form of auditory-motor coordination. It's rooted in your brain's ability to predict the future beat. And this ability is structurally defined by the streamlined efficiency of that left PSLF pathway. And functionally, it's entirely dependent on you paying active auditory attention to optimize your perception.
And here's the final provocative thought for you to consider the next time you tap your foot, or I guess, blink to the beat. Given that the strength of your unconscious synchronization is linked to a highly efficient, measurable physical structure in your brain, that lower NDI in the PSLF could blink synchronization eventually serve as an objective marker.
A marker for what?
An implicit marker for diagnosing subtle neurodevelopmental or even dopamine-related disorders that involve timing and rhythm deficits. It offers a non-invasive window into the brain's fundamental temporal processing capability.
That is a powerful and very applicable thought. Thanks for guiding us through this amazing, subtle world of rhythmic biology.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.
And that's a wrap on this episode of MedDecode. I really appreciate you joining me today. If something we talked about sparked your interest, or if there's a medical term that's been bugging you, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, be a pal and share it with a friend. We'll catch you on the next one.